Here we are again. Welcome to a visit with Santa
and Mrs. Claus. And, and we'd already like to say good morning to Andrea Ludden. Yeah. Thank you for joining us this morning, Andrea.
How are you?
It's always so good to see you.
You're going to like this because,
having a
shop in Gatlinburg, you know how beautiful the Smoky Mountains is, and you know how gorgeous the whole area is.
Oh, it is.
And for those who have visited us, you know how beautiful the area is up here, and that's why we keep coming down week after week. We never get sick of it. So.
Well, and of course, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park is the most visited national park in the United States.
It is.
Yeah. I guess there's a few other people that feel like that.
There's one or two out there that know this. But anyway, and it's always tough. You're always trying to capture that perfect shot of the Smokies, and you're always hoping to get that beautiful waterfall shot or that beautiful vista shot of all the mountains with the mountains smoking in the background.
Well, and
we're going to make it easy for you.
Yeah, if you're like a lot of us, that just doesn't quite happen. You know, it's some kind of close.
She keeps bumping me.
Yeah.
So I jumble the camera. At least that's the excuse I'm giving, okay?
I don't think that's really true.
Well, close enough. But anyway, we are blessed to have a guest with us today that's going to make this so easy for you, and you're just going to absolutely love this.
Yeah.
So please welcome and say good morning to our new dear friend, J. Scott Graham, who is he's a phenomenal photographer and one of America's most celebrated photographers, and he works in many of the state parks and national forests and that kind of thing. Well, we'll let him tell you.
Yeah.
Scott, say hello to everybody this morning.
Hello, everybody, and hello, Santa and Mrs. Claus.
We are so pleased to have you here. So, tell us, how long have you been taking photographs of the different areas, and how did that all start for you?
Yeah, that's interesting. How did that all start?
Actually, I've been doing this for 30 years.
Wow.
And I started shortly after I graduated from the University of Tennessee with a business degree, not a photography degree. So I had gone to work for a youth camp, and I'd never taken a picture in my life. And the director said, would you help me kind of get this thing started and showcase it? So we needed pictures taken. So I sat down with my dad on a back porch swing and got his old Minolta, and I said, show me how to use this thing. I've got to start taking pictures. And that's how I got started.
Really? So it wasn't a plan. It wasn't anything that you grew up saying?
It was not my plan, no.
Wow. Well, although the business degree has come in handy because, you've used that many a time before. So, but anyway, now where did you just kind of like, after that, did you just kind of get into it and decide to start going into the mountains? Or?
Yeah, I can remember I'd always loved the great outdoors. I always went camping and hiking and always loved the area. Even when I was at UT, we used to come down and take the back roads in and go hiking the chimneys or go to Kate's Cove when it wasn't busy. And so I'd always had an affinity for the great outdoors. But to get started, I took a lot of pictures of schools and class reunions and weddings and soccer teams and things like that so that people would pay me for what I was shooting, which was the point. But eventually I started publishing what I really wanted to do, and that was my own calendar. And then I started doing, people said, hey, this is pretty good. Can you do postcards? And so I started doing that. And then I started doing books. And now pretty much anything you can put a photograph on, I create and produce.
Well, and bless Scott. I mean, he traveled a long way to be with us this morning because he's actually he hails out of Johnson City.
Yeah.
Which is about a 2-hour drive for you?
If I have a tailwind, I can get down here in 75 minutes.
Oh, he drives like I fly.
I think so, Santa.
Point A, point B. I'm there. Wow. Well, and you've probably done that a few times, every year.
I am. I'm down here regularly.
So, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, to do a calendar, which obviously has, 12 to 14 pictures, depending upon how you lay it out. About how long does it take to do that? I mean, and how many pictures do you look at where you've taken and say that, well, that's not so good? I mean, it must be quite a bit where you have to sift through to actually get the pictures that you think are good enough for a calendar. So that's got to be some time.
I wish I could tell you that I just have to look at 12 pictures. But
12 times 12 times 12.
And that's it. And I take 12 pictures a year, and that's all. Yeah. But the reality is, I think a lot of the editing, if you will, to make the selections is not necessarily based on what is a good picture, but I like a good flow through the calendars, and I do calendars for Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the Blue Ridge Parkway. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 different editions we put out every year, and I like for each one to kind of flow naturally through itself, and also be different from the other calendars. So it has to kind of fit itself and not duplicate what's in another calendar. So let's say in January I start with a cabin scene in the snow in the Smokies. Well, maybe in the Blue Ridge, then I want to start with a sunrise. So it has to have a lot of difference. And I want, when people turn the page, I want them every picture to be very different from the one that was the month before.
Yeah, and obviously you want to try and maintain that theme. You're not showing winter scenes in June.
Right.
Kind of thing. So you got to pick the right pictures for the right. I mean, looking at your website, oh my God, I could just spend a week just looking at all the different things you have on your website. In fact, look at this. You've got puzzles and coasters and canvas prints. Your canvas prints. Now, what sizes are those?
They're anywhere from 16 by 16, which is kind of a popular square size that we do, all the way up to 32 by 48.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And many sizes
in between. Can you get those framed and unframed, or is it?
You can. Typically, we do them on canvas, and they're what's called gallery wrapped. So you pull it out of the box, it's ready to hang. And the nice part about that is you don't have to spend money on glass and frames and mats. Mm-hmm. I've always preferred, I hate glass on top of any kind of artwork because there's a glare, and I think it separates the viewer from the artwork, no matter what the artwork is. So I love the canvas because there's nothing between you and the image. And it's, like I said, the ones that we do, it's gallery wrapped. It comes with a wire on the back.
It almost looks like an oil painting.
You pull it out and hang it on the wall. Yeah. They're also very lightweight. A lot of traditional framed works are so heavy. And my largest print weighs less than 5 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So they're easy to handle, easy to move.
Yeah. You can move them around and get a new one.
Well, I'm not sure that's a great selling point for your artwork, is to say it's easy to move.
Well, but nowadays everybody keeps trying to rearrange and do things. So
and I think actually there is something to that too, because a lot of people live alone, and if you're not as good to be lifting really heavy pictures, it's nice to have a collection where you can actually hang it and do it yourself. So it's actually kind of a nice selling point, I think, to that. So,
and of course the calendars you change every month anyway.
Well,
That's right. Those are even easier to handle.
Yes. Just take them off. Speaking of, why don't you show us what you brought with you, because you got a few things there.
I have ironically, with COVID hitting everybody, I've done jigsaw puzzles for years. And in the last 12 months, and we've always done well with jigsaw puzzles, but in the last 12 months, jigsaw puzzles are now my top selling item.
I was just going to say.
Because everybody's looking for something to do and they have to stay at home. So we sell jigsaw puzzles like crazy, and this is just one I brought of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We have several of the Smokies. This is one that features several different waterfalls in the Smokies. I'm sure you'll probably recognize some of these. On the side panels, it will tell you where all the waterfalls are and their names, so that's kind of a nice thing, so you know what's getting put together.
Oh, that's neat.
I will say,
go visit them after you get the puzzle put together.
We've got puzzles from Cades Cove. We've got puzzles of different churches and cabins. We've got a black bear puzzle that people say is very difficult because it's just a headshot with all the fur.
Black on black.
We've got a brand new puzzle. All of my puzzles are 550-piece puzzles, and I get asked for 1,000-piece puzzles all the time. So we're coming out with some new 1,000-piece puzzles in November, one of which is a collage of 36 different images of the Smokies. And it's called Great Smoky Mountains.
That's going to be a challenge.
America's Favorite Park. And I think it's turned out really well. It's in production right now. I think we have it on the website. You can't buy it yet, but you can see it. So puzzles have been very popular, and people like putting them together. So we're happy with what we've got. But that's actually been something that's been really good and is very popular right now.
And it's called what again?
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. It's the.
Yes, we've got two. One's Tennessee Waterfalls and one's Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Both of them will be 1,000-piece puzzles. And they'll be out in early November.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, look at the collage on that.
Yeah, and you can actually click on that image again, and it'll show you an even larger image if you want to see it.
And
So there's the.
There we go.
Yeah, there's all the different images. But we
wow.
we had a nice selection. So there's, if you like wildlife, if you like wildflowers, if you like cabins, if you like barns, if you like sunrises and sunsets, if you like waterfalls, it's all in there.
Wow, that's
and you
cool.
know that actually is I've actually never seen a puzzle that's a collage of pictures. You generally see a picture that you put together.
Right.
But this is, and I would think that would really be a challenge, because once you get your edges, that's not good. There's edges and edges and edges. So
the edges are the easy part.
Yeah.
So, well, that's really cool. So how many puzzles have you got all together? Like about?
We've got about 2 dozen.
Wow.
All of them are on the website. About half a dozen for the Smokies, but I also do ones for the Blue Ridge Parkway. We've got our most popular puzzle historically has been Biltmore at Christmas. That's another nice one that people love. I have put that picture, that puzzle together. My son and I have. It's incredibly difficult.
Oh my gosh, I don't.
So yeah, it's right next to the other one. So that one is very difficult, but people have loved that one. That's historically we've sold. That's our #1 selling puzzle.
That's a beauty.
That's
wow.
beautiful.
So it's Biltmore
and of course
Christmas.
The Biltmore is gorgeous at
that
Christmas
is.
time. So that'd be
Wow.
Yeah.
fun. That's a neat. Now that would be a neat Christmas project.
Yeah.
You know, I could just see doing that with kids and putting it together as a family.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that's
a lot
fabulous.
of adults, love puzzles. I mean, I haven't done one for a while, but I always loved puzzles. I mean, I couldn't resist them.
You're most known for the Smokies and the Blue Ridge Parkway, but you also do the Caribbean, but you haven't gone there for a few years since the last hurricane. So
yeah, my largest market is actually in the Caribbean. I do all the national park sites that are in U.S. territories. So in Puerto Rico, St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, I do a lot of products for destinations in those places. So if you go to San Juan, if you're on a cruise in Puerto Rico and you go to the San Juan National Historic Site and you go into the gift shop and you pick something up, you're probably going to buy my magnet or my postcard or my book or a puzzle or things like that.
Oh, wow.
I have not been back down there since Hurricane Maria hit 3 years ago because it's just totally devastated that area. And many locations are still closed or were trying to come back when COVID hit. And they're very heavily dependent upon cruise ships. So when COVID hit and all the cruise ships stopped, everything down there closed.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult situation. So unfortunately, I haven't been back down there in 3 years when I was down there about every 3 or 4 years, 3 or 4 months usually.
yeah, you were talking about before we came on. You were talking about the national rainforest, the only rainforest in the United States. And how devastated. Explain what happened.
El Junco National Forest is on the east part of Puerto Rico. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever photographed. It's got rare species. It's got a lot of biodiversity. There's beautiful waterfalls. And it really is a unique spot. I have photographed that and done products for them for 15 years. And when Hurricane Maria hit 3 years ago, it totally wiped out the entire national forest. There wasn't a leaf left on the trees. They have a beautiful glass visitor center that houses millions of visitors every year. It's totally gone, wiped off the mountain. So unfortunately, it was very devastating to see, both for the people that I know down there and the visitors and the lives that were affected, but also the great biodiversity that they have was just utterly destroyed. So, and they still are trying to recover and have not yet been open for 3 years.
And probably won't be for a while longer.
They have difficulties. It's hurricane season right now.
Yeah,
Right,
and I was going to say that doesn't help that we're getting one of the most active hurricane seasons we've had in years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's about 4 or 5 storms going on right
Right
now.
now, and September and October is the peak of hurricane season. We're supposed to get rain here, Thursday or something like that from the one that
From
came
Sally.
through.
Yeah, Sally's coming up to visit.
Yeah.
One unwelcome visitor anyway coming. So yeah, make sure you're batting down the hatches on Thursday, and keep watching David Aldrich. He'll keep you up to date on that. So
yes.
check with Captain Accurate.
Definitely want to do that.
So you know when this thing hits. So because you're going to want to take shelter when that happens. We're going to get a lot of rain out.
I think we are. I saw this morning before I left 1.5 inches on Thursday, which is quite a bit of rain.
For us,
it is quite a bit of rain.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we should take a little break. I want to get into Scott's books, especially the books on the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yes, we've got one.
And we bought the Great Smoky Mountains before we met Scott. So but we'll come back and we'll take a good look at that, and Scott will tell you where and how you can get his books. So we'll be back in just a moment or two. Hello. You may recognize us from Mountain Fun Life TV show Storytime with Santa and Mrs. Claus. And here are the stories that bring the TV show to life. The Santa's Elf series of children's books features wonderful rhyme and beautiful corner-to-corner illustrations, and include a special message from Santa at the end of each story. I wrote the books, and Mrs. Claus did the artistry. Available in hard and soft covers, these books are available wherever great children's books are sold, or online or at our website, thenorthpolepress.com. There are 7 already published and more on the way. So pick up one or more of these books and read them to your kids today.
Welcome back.
See, that didn't take long at all. So
No,
barely could get a question or two to Scott real quick. But anyway, we were talking before the break on, he's got these fabulous books and these fabulous calendars. And I'll tell you, if you love this area at all, I mean,
I know.
He's captured it so perfectly. Look at some of the.
Well, these are some of the canvas prints we were talking about. I mean, look at that Autumn's Journey. That's just beautiful. Just pull this up real quick. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful?
Oh.
And you can. That's one that you can actually get a print of. So it just
And he offers different sizes. As he was talking about
as he was
beforehand,
saying.
So.
But
just gorgeous. So, like now we were talking about, and I know how difficult it's been. There's been a lot of tourist shops and a lot of areas and gift shops that haven't even been open this year, or minimally so. How do we get a hold of your books or your calendars right now?
Well, if you're in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, there's several locations that carry my work. All the Food City stores do. The Old Mill General Store does. Three Bears General Store, Sawyer's.
Sure.
If you're in the island, Emery's 5 and 10 carries my products.
Okay.
If you want just a puzzle, go to the puzzle store in the island as well. And then in Gatlinburg, and then I have an outdoor center, American Traditions, Old Dad's General Store. And then if you're in the park, they don't have my calendars in the park, but they do have puzzles and playing cards and magnets and postcards and postcard books and several other things.
So you can even get other things besides
you can
the calendars and books. Wow.
And most of the retail stores have a huge slat wall display of my work with my name at the top. So everything's on that display. So whether you're looking for playing cards, a postcard, or a calendar, just ask them where my display is or walk in, and it's usually in a really nice spot, and you can just spin it around and pretty much everything's on there.
See, we should have asked them for coasters. I'm getting tired of the North Pole ones we've got.
We didn't see those.
No, we didn't see the coaster. I forgot that.
Now,
nuts.
If you are not here or not going to be visiting, and we still would like to get your work, then can they go to your website and order from you directly?
Yes, they can, but I will just say, first of all, that if you're not here visiting with us, we'd like to invite you to come visit with us anytime because we're open. But
Good
if
commercial. Way to go, Scott. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful, and everything's open down here, and fall's
Yes, it
coming,
is.
so it's getting ready to be what most people consider to be the prettiest time of year. So
Yeah.
I always tell people to come down. September's a great month because the crowds aren't quite as bad, and if you come
That's
and you want to
true.
avoid the crowds, I would echo what many people say, and that is try to come during the week and try to get your visits in either early or late in the day. But if you can't make it down here to see us, and I understand I've heard from several people across the country that are not traveling this year because of COVID, then please go to my website. It's just jscottgraham.com. Just the letter J, not the name J. So it's just the letter jscottgraham.com, and all the products are on there. And you're welcome to sift through. We ship orders out every day, so usually from the time you order, it's just a couple of days, and everything's on the website. There's even a place if you have questions about products, you can shoot me a text or an email, and we'll get those answered for you.
Okay.
Well, and I'll tell you what. I mean, his stuff. Like I said, we discovered him when we got his book.
Yes.
Let's see. The Great Smoky Mountains. And I'll tell you, this is it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean,
Yes,
the
yeah.
shots in here are just incredible. In fact, I got to tell you, we bought this for our friends in Scotland.
Yes. Yeah.
And, because they're always enticing us by sending us pictures of Stirling in Scotland and different
Yeah.
areas around there and saying, you need to come visit us when it's not Christmas.
Yeah. So
it's
we're gonna.
So
Yeah. Look at
guess
that.
what?
Isn't that beautiful?
And I
That
told
just-
them ahead of time.
Yeah.
I said, don't watch this show.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
You can't watch this show because they're going to get the book and they're going to get one of the calendars.
Yeah.
And I'm finally going to get even for all the stuff they send me from Sterling.
Yeah.
So, show them that we got some beauty here too, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And again, some of the shots on here, this isn't
Absolutely
doing
beautiful.
as well as it could. But, oh my God, the pictures.
Well,
Now-
and we've been here for a while, and there is a lot of wonderful photographers in the area that take pictures. But I mean, I will say that Scott's book, really grabbed our attention, and it was really kind of a question of did we want the calendar, did we want the book, and we ended up purchasing the book.
We ended up inviting them so we can get
Yes,
both.
and
And now I find out about the puzzles.
Yeah, I know.
And now I got to put in an order for the coasters.
Yeah. That's right.
So I hope you brought your store in your car. I'll just rummage through that and pick a few things, and that'll take care of my Christmas list for at least some of my friends. So.
Well, I'd like to actually go back a little bit, though. I mean, it's a big jump from going and taking pictures of schools and weddings and those kind of things to being to where you are now, where not only do you travel, here through the Smokies and the Blue Ridge Parkway, but also into the Caribbean. How did you get there? I mean, that didn't happen obviously overnight to where you became really acknowledged for your work.
Most people tout the Great Smoky Mountains National Park as the most visited national park in the country, which it is.
Yes.
But the most visited national park site in the country is the Blue Ridge Parkway. They typically get 2 to 5 million more visitors a year than the Smokies does.
I didn't know that.
That is correct.
I did not know that.
That is correct. It is a unit, what's called a unit in the national park system. So when I was looking to get started, I was looking for customers. And when I saw 10 to 12 million in the Smokies and 12 to 15 on the Blue Ridge Parkway, I actually started with products for the Blue Ridge Parkway for several years. And then in the process of doing that, then have moved into the Smokies in the last, 10 to 15 years as well. So it was pretty much, it was close to my home, but also something that had a lot of visitors. which if I'm going to do these types of products, that's what I'm looking for is visitors/customers. The two parks, I will say that, commercial aspect aside, I've traveled all over, and I would have to say, very biased, but very truthfully, that the Blue Ridge Parkway and Great Smoky Mountains National Park are some of the nicest scenery anywhere in the world. And you can't find nicer wildflowers or waterfalls or wildlife than what you'll see here.
Speaking of wildlife, I'll bet you run across a little every now and then.
I do. I actually have an interesting story. I was up on the Blue Ridge Parkway 2 weeks ago trying to prepare for a sunrise shot. And I was next to a blackberry bush, and I was setting up my equipment, and I heard some ruckus and looked up, and a black bear popped up less than 10 feet away and looked at me, which startled both of us. And I guess I'm scarier than he is because he took off running. And I told my wife, I said, maybe I should have taken a shower or something before I left home because I either stunk or was scary or looked bad or something. But he took off running. So typically I run into wildlife, bears. I think you hear bears before you see bears. But I've run into, skunks and turkeys, but nothing that would be even snakes. For the most part, I think if you're respectful of wildlife, they just want to be left alone.
Right, exactly right. Exactly right. If you're not trying to pet them or, do a selfie with them. Or,
exactly. So what's a day in the life of Scott Graham when he's when you're going out to do your photography? Is it an all-day event? Just kind of a day in the life. What would that entail?
I would say that it's going to sound like a bad answer. Every day is so different from the day before. And
that's not a bad answer. That's a great answer.
Also, I think people realize they think maybe that I'm out taking pictures every day, and just the opposite is true. 95% of my time is spent running the business of taking pictures and selling products. And I spend less than 5% of my time actually out in the field taking pictures. I wish that percentage was a little bit different, but I tell people all the time, I don't sell pictures, I sell products. And so that's always been my operating philosophy and strategy. So I have to pay attention to the business end of what I do. And then when I have time to take pictures, I do so. Sometimes that's an all-day event where I might be gone from 3 o'clock in the morning and get home at midnight. Other times it can just be a snapshot as I'm traveling through certain places. I come across things all the time that are unexpected, and I always have my camera with me. So sometimes they're planned, and sometimes they're very much unplanned.
Yeah, I would guess that you'd run across a lot of unplanned shots that it just happened to be. So, and that's like, and every time you turn around, they're opening another area around here, which gives you more opportunities to get out and do some things. But what's your favorite part? You've been to the Caribbean, you've been to the Smoky.
Yeah.
And by the way, I got to throw in Yosemite too, because if you haven't been to Yosemite,
have you been to Yosemite?
I have not actually.
Yosemite is beautiful.
If you went to Yosemite, you'd go, okay, so there's a third one there. So it really is gorgeous.
I think majestic.
Yeah.
It comes to mind,
right.
Because there is a majesty there that it's just, you feel like a little person. I mean, the Smokies are nice because they're the old forest, and you don't feel quite so small. But certainly in Yosemite, it's so vast and beautiful that it's the majesty, I think, of the
I think everybody east of the Mississippi says the Smokies are the most beautiful.
Yeah.
I think everybody west of the Mississippi says Yosemite is the most beautiful. So, there's a lot of beautiful places in this country to see.
There really is.
And they're really, I mean, talk about, we could come up with probably a couple hundred Scott Grahams going around this country just filming some of the beautiful parks that we have in this country. But yeah, what's your favorite? What's your personal favorite that you like to do?
I get asked that question all the time.
What's
your favorite spot? And I tell people, we've got 2 sons, And I said, it's like asking me which one of my sons I love the most. I'm not going to answer that. I can't answer that. I love them both the same. So it's kind of hard to pick one particular spot that you can say, you know, if that's the one spot. I will also say part of that is because, and I'll use Clingman's Dome as an example. Clingman's Dome is a great place to see sunrise and sunset. But every time you go, it looks a little different. So it's hard to say that's my favorite spot when it's always changing. So I guess that's part of my answer too.
That's a good point.
I've been on trails where the wildflowers are profuse this year, and next year not so much. So I guess that's one thing that always motivates me as a photographer is I'm never going to reach a point where I feel like I've seen it all and photographed it all, because it's always changing. So that allure to me, the thrill of the hunt, the thrill of discovery is always present.
And every now and then a bear pops up.
And every now
and then a bear pops up.
That's true, yeah.
Incredible. Well, but I'll tell you, you know, again, if you're looking for a unique and beautiful gift to give at Christmas or just to have in your own home, I mean, especially if you're a fan of the Smoky Mountains or the Blue Ridge Parkway or both, these books are fabulous. They don't take up a whole lot of room, so you can keep them out all the time and just keep referring back to them and go, isn't this pretty? We got to catch this site the next time we go.
That's right.
So, you know. But Scott, we cannot thank you enough
thank you so much
for coming all the way from Johnson City and being with us this morning. So it's almost as far as the North Pole. So
I know.
And he beat us.
Yeah.
It took him less time than it took us.
I know.
And we fly. So, but anyway, we wish you continued success, and of course, we'll have you back again when you get those puzzles in. Contact us and let us know, because we'd like to bring that back and feature that, and you know. Okay. Let's see how well you can put one together.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. What your success is.
Yeah. Well, and for all of our visitors and fans and all the people that have come on, and thank you very much for your comments. And it's so good to see you.
Yeah.
And just love it when you guys join us and say something. And we will see you next week.
Yes, and be kind to each other.
Be kind and be good. Bye-bye. Thank you.